Hey, good morning. We're back. We are back indeed. We are at Sycamore Crossing this morning, sitting in for BKP while he is in PA. Love to use those initials. And we've got the ASP, the All-Star Panel.
ASPs.
Yeah, the ASP. Right around your arm, right? We just had our Ask the Doc segment. It was fun to have Justin Nicholson here, a nurse practitioner from Georgia Cancer Specialist affiliated with Northside Hospital. We're here at beautiful Sycamore Crossing this morning. It is a absolutely beautiful morning here in Blue Ridge. I am joined by my charming bride, Cindy. She told me not to refer to her as an angry white woman, although she does get angry sometimes. She does get angry for what's going on and what we're all. We'll get into that in the panel. And I've got my other best friend, Bruce. Bruce joining us this morning. Jane is not with us, as you know, because for the 141st time, I've said that she is traveling with Doc Whaley in Russia. So, anything happened this week that we might want to talk about?
Well, lots happened. I mean, lots of stuff happened, and of course, some of it's reported and some of it isn't reported.
How do you feel about being lumped into the category of being a white supremacist and a racist?
It happens every week. It's no big deal. Same.
Do you know anybody that is a white supremacist?
Well, first you'd probably have to expand that definition a little bit. But,
okay, go ahead.
Again, I mean, if it's the classic is like a neo-Nazi or a Ku Klux Klan, someone who's like, definitely in a group that has very strong ideas about them being superior to other races.
So a white supremacist is someone that has deemed themselves superior to another race of people. Is that right?
Race, religion, right. They're a hate group.
Yeah,
they are. When white supremacists are attacking, as people would say, they're attacking not for political purposes, they're attacking because of hate. They attack the people that they think they're better than, they don't want them around. Hitler was a white supremacist, the ultimate white supremacist, I guess you would say. That's what a white supremacist is, which, today, because the media and the Democrat Party and liberal leftists, however you want to describe them, are using that as any term that relates to a white person. If you're white, you're a white supremacist.
Or a white person saying about anybody else.
Right.
A black person, an Asian, whoever, someone who they don't agree with.
Do you think the term is being used so much that it's watered down now?
It is watered down.
Yeah, it's lost its meaning.
Just like racist. Everybody now, if you don't agree with the person that you're talking to, you're a racist.
Yeah.
Now, how does that have anything to do with being a racist? Because you have a difference of an opinion.
Yeah, and look at the way they jumped on Trump's statement about the squad. It had nothing to do with the color of the women.
No, color wasn't even there.
But he was talking about their merits. Their aptitude or ineptitude in that case.
Yes.
And the media just ignored that, and they said, okay, these are all lovely performing freshman Congress ladies. And they went right to race. I mean, they didn't even talk about the merits.
And when he made those statements, he never mentioned color, race, gender, or names. And yet, those four ladies decided he was talking to them. And the media ran with it, as did people in Congress and everything else, when he never, ever brought up those issues. He didn't bring up color. He didn't say people of color. He didn't say women. He didn't say their names. He didn't do any of that.
It's the classic rules for radicals. You
Exactly.
you just have your message point, whatever it is, racism,
Right.
and you just keep saying it.
Buzzwords.
And you say it long enough, and
Right.
I mean, everyone has it on the tip of their tongue now, and I agree, it's watered down.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't mean much anymore.
They are now liberal buzzwords. White supremacy, racist, racism. They're all
homophobe, misogynist.
Right.
I mean,
they're liberal buzzwords that are being thrown out for you don't like what I'm saying, you don't agree with me, and I'm right about everything, so therefore you're a racist.
What's the tone and tenor that we're experiencing out there in in the mainstream media and everything. What do you think? I've got my opinion. What do you think it's doing to Trump's base and some of the independent voters who are going to be critical to the 2020 election and Trump winning again? What do you think it's doing to their heads?
Making them explode. I mean, people are really getting tired of this. I mean, because, the average person just hears this stuff, listens to this stuff, absorbs this stuff, lives with it, and just goes, okay, enough with it. I mean, it's overkill. In my opinion.
Does that ring positive to Trump?
I believe it does.
I do too.
Yeah, I do.
So you got 20 candidates out there, however many there are now, that are all ringing the same chime, saying that he's a white supremacist, he's a racist. I mean, in my opinion, I think this is doing nothing but expanding his base significantly.
Well, and then yesterday, and as both of you know, I'm pretty active on Twitter sometimes.
Really? Is that what you're doing at your computer? I thought you were buying stuff on Amazon
Right.
for me.
Well, I do that
You
too.
wish.
But the point is that Martin Luther King Jr.'s niece
Alveda?
came on
What's her name?
with
Alveda
a
King.
huge Twitter saying, I don't know what you're talking about. There's not a racist bone in Trump's body. There's nothing racist about him. He is not a white supremacist. This, that's a pretty big statement by a lady who, has worked with civil rights probably most of her life. And she comes out and says this. Other people are saying it. I just happened to be on a Twitter, I guess, argument. It could be a good thing with some person.
Exchange of ideas.
With a person who started out telling me about good old Uncle Joe and, how he was this and he was that.
Sleepy
and so
Joe?
on.
Sleepy Joe?
Joe
Yeah.
and all
Sleepy
of
Joe.
that.
Sleepy Joe.
And, and Joe has been on a whirlwind this week calling Trump, basically doing exactly what the liberals, the Democrats want him to do, calling Trump a white supremacist, saying he's ruining this, calling him a racist, so on and so forth, and saying he does not say anything bad about the Ku Klux Klan. He does not say they're bad. The
He
reason
said that on the lawn the other day.
Right, he said that.
Said, white nationalist group, any kind of supremacy groups, any of that stuff.
But you can see videos of him, for years saying that. But he was, which I did find out, ran in 2000. 2000, in the year 2000, he ran as a candidate for the Reform Party. He dropped out very soon after he declared his candidacy. Part of the reason that he dropped out was because good old Democrat racist David Dukes became a member of the party.
Of the Reform Party.
Of the Reform Party.
Yeah.
And Trump said, I will not be a member of a party that allows someone with the ideas of David Dukes. I will not be a part of that party. He actually said, I will not be a part of a party that accepts the Ku Klux Klan. I don't know how much more clear he can be. But Joe's out there talking about how he never, ever, says it's a bad organization.
Well, if you talk about it long enough and you try to, you just keep hammering and hammering and hammering, and the mainstream media does nothing to support anything that Trump does or says.
No.
They're all working off the same message points.
Right.
We have got to say and do anything to get Trump, unelected.
You listen to some of those montages that come out, and you just want to climb through the screen.
Oh yeah, you see the CNN people talking with whoever, the MSNBC people talking with whoever, and they're all saying the same thing.
Right. Nicole Wallace, that Trump called for the extermination of Latinos.
Yeah.
On MSNBC.
And she had to come up with
she had to walk it back with an unapology, is what I would call what it was, that she misspoke. No, she didn't misspoke. She didn't misspeak. She lied. She knew it wasn't true.
Right.
She said it. Then she walked it back saying, however, his rhetoric, that's all we're hearing now. His rhetoric. And he even said the other day on the lawn, I am trying to tone my rhetoric down. He is not. He didn't start out as a politician. That, in 2016, that was a huge thing to me. is people didn't understand this man is not a politician.
When he came down the escalator, you know, you knew what you were getting then.
Right. He is a man who's been bankrupt, he's been successful, he became a billionaire, he's a businessman.
Privileged white man who took advantage of the
Privileged
system.
white
Come
man,
on.
yes.
Got all that money from his father, and what did he do with it?
He went into bankruptcy basically the first several times around, came out, became a billionaire, went to a great business school, sent his kids to great schools. He built an empire. There's nothing wrong with that in this country. That's what this country is about. People who can build whatever your empire is. You have the right to do that. That's why you're an American. That's why we live here. And of course, if it was up to, there won't be many empires if the Democrats do what they say they're going to do and get elected. So just please keep that in mind, people. They're taking away your dreams.
Well, you know, you talked about the candidates.
Yeah.
I just happen to have this article.
Just happened to have
I
it
just
here,
happen to have it,
right
yeah,
here in
talking
my
about how,
formerly nicotine-stained hands.
the primary debates seem extra crazy this year, and they went through this, and basically they said the Democratic Party has tried to change the debate rules, and again, the media-driven political culture has made the debates everything that matters. So everything that you hear in the debates, it's a clip, it's a visual thing. It's going to be played over and over again. So you know,
They're just 2 hours worth of sound bites.
Sound
Correct.
bites. The second thing is the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, is trying not to repeat the 2016 perception that the fix was in for Hillary Clinton.
Oh, geez, that's down in Brazil.
Yeah.
Oh, that phony, I'm telling you.
And third, and as a result, far more candidates throw their hat into the ring than was expected. And then they get into this whole thing about qualifying, and you got to get so many, you know, $1 donors, and you know, they made what they thought was a great system to like spread it all around. It's turned into a quagmire.
A debacle. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But it's an interesting article. I mean, it really is that you can see some of the things that they thought were going to make things more interesting for voters or clearer. You know, it just blown up. And they end this article saying, the system blew up and fell apart, leaving a pack of wackadoodles dancing to a socialist teen
I like
pop.
that.
Wackadoodles.
Dancing to a socialist teen pop in the hope of getting $1 bills thrown at them by the Twitter mob. Oh, boy.
Well, it's so true, and they're all having to go so far left now because you get the Elizabeth Warrens and the Bernie Sanders and those people. You know, God bless Tulsi Gabbard in that last going after
Yeah.
Kamala Harris, who a lot of people say. I say Kamala, you say Kamala, I say Kamala. I don't know what her name is anyway.
Yeah.
Miss Harris, who is a California radical.
Radical.
I loved hearing Tulsi explain how she laughed about putting people in, prison for minor incidences, and then she came out, of course, didn't say anything.
Yeah.
After Tulsi went after her, Kamala couldn't even. It was like she couldn't even talk, and she said she didn't speak because it didn't deserve defending and stuff. No, she couldn't defend it. There was nothing to defend there, and yet she's trying to, of course, walk that back a little bit because her ratings dropped tremendously. She will be, from what has been said, or what I've heard, that's who Barack Obama is. Ooh, bees. That's who Barack Obama is supporting.
Do you remember during the Obama administration when he recognized her and how he referred to her? He referred to her as the most gorgeous
yes,
Attorney General.
right.
Oh,
Yeah,
in the
that.
United States. I will
Right.
never forget it
there you go.
because I thought, man, that is just really.
She is attractive till she opens her mouth, and then she's mean. She's mean. If anybody watched the Kavanaugh debate, the Kavanaugh hearings, she was ugly. She was mean. She lied. She and Cory Booker teamed up, lied. It was ugly, and she did that in other hearings, not just that hearing.
Yeah.
Anytime she gets a conservative or a Republican to attack, she does.
Speaking of attacks,
Right.
I mean, there's been so many attacks on Republicans, whether it be people lining up in front of Mitch McConnell's house,
that's
but
pretty bad.
and it's like that's the MO of the Democrats. about attack. How many attacks have there been?
Well, let me tell you.
Let me tell you, how is that for a segue,
The reason I was introduced as being angry is because I've listened all week, well, I've listened for 3 years, basically, to left-wing violence. And it's gotten to the point where what we started out with, we're doing a full circle here now, that's all coming down to white supremacy and racism. That's kind of the reasoning behind all of this. But
Here we go.
it just so happens.
Just so happens I have 55 pages.
Actually found a report. The report starts left-wing violence in the Trump era. Left-wing violence has increased 250% since the final days of the Obama administration.
Cite your source.
Yes. Well, the thing is, I've got 9 pages here of violence of leftists against Republicans, conservatives, anyone who is not a liberal. Violence only through 2019.
Physical violence.
Physical violence, throwing people out of restaurants, just anything, humiliating them in front of people. Even it started right off the bat. Because in the immediate aftermath of the election of Donald Trump, CNN broadcast a non-spontaneous setup piece with Lily, I don't know who Lily is, who said, "We can't just do rallies anymore. We have to fight back. There will be casualties on both sides. That will be because people have to die to make a change in this world." Now that was right after Trump was elected. They already had decided the war was on. And
Well, you got the likes of Maxine Waters coming out and saying we can't allow these people to. If you see them in restaurants, if you see them in gas stations, you've got to confront them. You've got to get in their face. I mean, how is that not inciting? Inciting violence.
And some people brought that up, and it just got poo-pooed by the media.
I know.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Well,
she has
you
a
know
right
why?
to express her opinion.
Yeah.
Well, Trump supporters have been the victims of numerous targeted attacks, brutal violence, and hate crimes. By March 2019, 334 reported hate crimes have been committed against Trump supporters.
Yeah.
334 hate crimes against Trump supporters.
That's like the hats and and
Yeah,
ripping them off
mainly
and
the
throwing
MAGA
water on
hats,
them.
Covington people, Sarah Sanders getting thrown out of the Red Hen, Mitch McConnell being people on his front yard telling they were going to slit his throat.
That kid sitting at the Burger King, and the guy walked up and smacked him in the head and took his hat.
The security secretary, Kristen Nielsen, she was heckled out of a Mexican restaurant in D.C. This was all in 2017. Then I'll just show you pages from January to today, only August, so it's only the 8th month. There are 9 pages here of hate incidences against conservatives, against people who supported Trump. Maxine Waters has stood up at a podium in front of America and said, "Go after them." I mean, in so many words. So of course, to try to be fair, I started looking up right-wing violence.
This is a fair and balanced panel, I just want to add.
So I tried to look up right-wing violence against liberals.
Crickets?
I have nothing. I have nothing. I have something that says 14 times Republican officials were viciously harassed, threatened with death. I've got that article. And when I go to that, asking when are Republicans or conservatives going after left wing, it comes up all about liberals, leftists going after conservatives or Trump supporters.
But don't they really, the media drill down on all these shootings and stabbings and things like that, and always trying to find the political angle of the perpetrator?
Exactly.
Immediately they if this person is not a white male, they're just totally disappointed.
Yeah.
Also,
or you don't hear about it.
The El Paso shooter, in his manifesto, which said very plainly that he was an avowed leftist,
supporting Elizabeth Warren.
They literally took that away. The people in the media took it and tried to change his manifesto before it was published to say that he was right-wing.
Yeah.
The media was going to change his manifesto.
The whole
to
white
say-
supremacist thing gets back to Charlottesville and
Exactly.
the guy who shot at the church in Charleston.
Right.
Because they say, he was a right-wing, gun-toting,
Yeah.
da-da-da-da-da.
Right, but he wasn't doing it for political purposes.
Yeah.
He was doing it as what a white supremacist does. It was a church, it was a this, there were people they didn't like, and they went in
And they were
after
black.
them.
They
And
were black and he was white.
Right, exactly. It's just, that's what's made me so angry is I read a lot of these tweets and so on and so forth, and they try to, the media has now, which of course there is no journalism, there is no reporting, basically left in modern day media. They don't report. They report their biases.
They
They
opine.
tell you
They opine.
what they want you to think.
Yeah, there aren't any true news people
No.
anymore. They're all opinion
Right.
mongers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're giving us their slant on what's transpired.
Yeah, and if they don't say their opinion, writers or editorialists or whatever, I mean, the slant of their questions, the way they phrase questions and the words they use.
You got the Don Lemon.
Don Lemon.
Don Lemon.
It has nothing to do with the race.
That's right.
Exactly.
They put him out there as a fair and balanced journalist to run a democratic debate. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
And every question he asked, almost every
he prefaced
question,
it.
he would preface it with, well, Trump is saying
We
this,
all know that
or
Trump.
We
We
all
all know that Trump is an avowed racist
Right.
and a white supremacist.
So tell us-
now, knowing that is fact,
Right.
tell us what you think about this.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how they couch their news.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, the gun debate has now reared its ugly head again,
Of course.
and you got Democrats lined up. You got Democrats lined up in the state of New York that are saying that because the police are having water thrown on them, it's not a big deal. What-
Well, I mean, there was a law that was brought up that throwing water on police would be a felony.
Right.
And the Dems lined up against.
Oh,
it
they
almost
kiboshed the
immediately.
whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's the same thing
So,
with
water now. What's next week?
acid.
Well, before that, though, there was the big milkshake. I mean, I've got
With
just-
NIGO?
Oh yeah,
With Antifa and NIGO.
with NIGO,
Out in
the
California?
reporter. But that
No,
was a
Washington
in
or
Seattle.
Oregon?
Seattle.
Seattle?
Seattle.
Yeah,
Wasn't it
Seattle.
Seattle?
Yes,
Yeah,
Seattle.
because it was Seattle, the mayor of Seattle who didn't stop anything. They let him go right ahead, but that was the big time of somebody decided it would be real cool to start throwing milkshakes on mega hat people, Trump supporters, so on and so forth.
I think they
What
copied that
did-
from the Brits because they started with the
Exactly.
British politicians.
Oh, they
Exactly.
did?
Yeah,
With
Nigel
milkshakes.
Farage. Yeah, he got.
Milkshake.
He got shaked, huh?
But in the NIGO one, NIGO, right?
NIGO, yeah.
In his, they had put in the powder that you use to make cement. They had put that into the milkshakes.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, you wonder why he
Blink.
had cracks in his head and things like that. I mean, these people are vicious. And then you get Maxine Waters out there spouting off. Now you've got Joaquin Castro, who has, posted all these people. Not that it's not public record. Yeah, we know it's public record. But he didn't post them because it was public record. He posted them for political purposes, and to his chagrin, he happened to post one of his biggest supporters who will no longer support him.
Who came out in...
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That sponsor said, "You'll never get another dime from me," which
Yeah.
is good. Good.
Well, back
there
to the
are
gun-
consequences.
Yeah,
to
the
Back to the gun
actions.
point.
Right.
Are we going to get
Gunpoint. Ooh.
effective gun legislation as the media and the Democrats?
I
would like?
think there's some things that can be done out there. They talk about,
Is it going to be enough?
well, it'll never be enough.
It'll
And
never
you'll
be
never overturn the Second Amendment, I don't think. Even though what's that?
I agree.
They'll never overturn it.
But will states layer on restrictions to the point,
Well,
some states will have de facto.
California's already put regulations in place that you need a background check now to buy ammo, to buy ammunition. And if you're coming into California and visiting and you walk into a sporting goods store, you cannot even buy ammunition if you're not a California resident.
Wow.
Those are the new restrictions that they put
But
in
of course,
place
they're
out
not
there.
reciprocal.
And did you read that, Josh, about those restrictions?
And they're not reciprocal with like any concealed carry with other states.
No.
California, New
No.
York, Illinois,
No.
all the,
Yeah, I mean, New York.
California where you can't have a mag release button, you gotta have like a special key to release the magazine, and they've got all the limits on capacity there.
Yeah,
I think they're the most restrictive thing.
right. I don't disagree with some of the limits on capacity for some of the magazines.
Right.
I mean, this guy that came into the Walmart had 2 drum canisters.
yeah.
That I mean, really, what do you need that? You don't need it for hunting. You know, you might have some fun if you're out in the range, just to see how hot you can get the barrel of the gun before it starts to twist in place.
But
I mean-
I did hear, one commentator, who is a gun rights advocate say that, well, the police fired 58 rounds at him to take him down. He says, I'd like to have that same capacity in my house to defend my wife and family.
Yeah, and
So-
and you if anybody watched the I don't know what you'd call it. It was a free for all the other night on Hannity when he had
De
Blasio.
Blasio.
Oh,
Yeah, the giraffe.
It was awful.
De Blasio and
softball and Mr. Waffle. I mean, that was terrible. He
was
didn't answer
terrible.
anything.
he
No.
never answered a thing. And the only reason he came on to the Hannity show was because he's doing so pitifully poor in his support. He needed something, just like Castro did, to jumpstart. They needed to have some media exposure. So what does he do? He agrees to go on Hannity, and you'd think, listening to that whole debacle, that Hannity was the one running for office, because he was quizzing Hannity. Hannity asked him a simple question. He said, "Why can't I, as a private citizen, be allowed to have the same amount of protection that you have in your capacity? And why do all these politicians have all of this protection when we can't protect ourselves?" It's just
And he wouldn't answer.
Yeah, he says,
no, he wouldn't answer.
He wouldn't
I'm not playing your game.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, right, yeah.
You're right. Exactly.
Okay, play your game.
But he said that on every question.
Yeah.
Whether it was abortion, whether it
You
was
don't
gun
make the
issues.
rules, or I'm not following
Yeah,
your rules.
no, I'm
or-
not playing your games. I'm not buying into this. You're
Yeah.
not going to get me to say this. You're not going to. He didn't help himself politically, I wouldn't think.
Getting back to the question about the gun
Guns.
control, though, I mean, there's things we can do, and I don't, like I said before, I don't really have a problem with, limiting some things, closing the alleged loopholes,
Yeah.
doing universal background checks.
Well, again, there's great confusion over what you have to go through to be able to buy a gun now.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's a great confusion,
Right.
Yeah.
or miseducation or misinformation.
Well, the Democrats will. The talking point is, well, you go into these gun shows and you can buy anything. I can't tell you how many gun shows I've been to, and you cannot just go in there willy nilly and plunk down $600 and walk out with your favorite gun.
Yeah.
You've still got to go through a background check.
There are still laws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not enforced.
Sometimes they're not
just like
enforced.
at the border, just like in states and certain issues. When laws aren't enforced, then things happen.
Yeah, and I think.
And we
that-
have some of the laws on the books.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, just like the border.
Yes, exactly.
But I think there should be this thing with the red flag laws.
Yes.
Where people with
There's a lot of
mental
states that have.
issues- But then you get into cross purposes with HIPAA. All that's protected information.
Yeah,
with the patients.
explain what the red flag law is.
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I think it's people that have been deemed by schools or
A parent.
or relatives or psychologists or medical people to have some issues. They should be red flagged, and they should not.
And the red flag would allow them would provide some restrictions
Yeah,
on their
much more
ability
restrictive.
to acquire a gun.
Correct.
acquire a gun or ammunition.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you got the guy in California that went crazy Hispanic on Hispanic crime that stabbed 4 people to death in California.
Yeah, you're always.
So
gonna
what
have
are you
that.
going to do? Are we going to take away all the knives now?
Well, and remember, I mean, in New York, they had the guy that drove the car down the
Drove
bike
the
path,
car.
killed
What are we going
7,
to do?
Yeah,
Are we going
mostly
to
visitors.
take minivans off the market now? If people are sick enough that they want to harm, injure, kill, maim somebody, they're going to find a way to do it,
Yeah.
regardless of what's available to them.
Explosives, gas, poison, you name it.
Yeah,
There's going to be ways to
we
do
talked the other day about the joke. I bought this revolver. It's the laziest revolver I've ever had. I put it on the counter and it didn't kill anybody.
it. Didn't do anything.
It didn't do anything.
Didn't do anything.
It didn't shoot anybody. It just sat there.
Yeah.
That's the mentality that you got to have.
Yeah, and of course, all these incidents are tragic in terms of loss of human life and injuries
Of
and
course,
things like that.
no one is downplaying the tragedy by any
But
means.
The point I wanted to make was, if you look at roughly 40,000 auto deaths a year, that's about 110 deaths a day, 108 to 110 deaths a day on average. So you don't have a great outcry, to like ban all the cars,
Right.
and keep people from driving or raise the driving age or any of this stuff.
Right. We had
And the
that.
loss of life is tragic in either case, but
Right.
there you go.
The tragedy down in El Paso, you got the guy coming down from, I don't know, some suburb near Dallas.
Yeah, 600
Comes
miles.
down and inflicts all of that carnage in a Walmart store. And I've said on this show several times that the Hispanic community to the Democrats that's the new black community.
Yeah.
What did you hear about all those poor people being killed? They singled out the 6 Hispanics that had come over to
Right.
shop at the Walmart, and they made a bigger deal about not that life is more
Precious.
precious for one person than another, but they didn't talk about the 12 or 18 people that died that were from this country. They focused on the Hispanic community and the 6 that came over to shop at the Walmart store. And then you've got the president of Mexico threatening to sue the U.S. and claim extradition for the guy that they've got in custody
Yeah,
that
and
they
let
wanted
millions,
to.
blow right through their country to our border.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Makes sense.
Exactly. What about, let's switch gears just a touch and let's talk about the ICE agents and how little support they're getting from the mainstream media and from the Democratic politicians wanting to do away with ICE and the candidates. What have we got if we don't have borders? What do we have if we don't have laws?
You get a de Blasio reaction from politicians all the time. They never answer it. They never address it. They never look in the mirror and say, yeah, I've been here 30 years, Chuck Schumer. What have you done?
Yeah.
What have you accomplished? What have you really, put your career on the line to do?
Right.
And the answer across the board is they can't agree on
Anything. Right.
Exactly.
That's problem because we've got such a divide, and these people, these far left Democrats, are trying so hard to make you want all these immigrants coming into the country. There's no problem with immigrants coming into this country legally. The
Operative
whole
word.
operative word is legally. We have the border crossing areas where you can come in, you can ask for asylum, you can do this. We are a nation of immigrants. We all know that. But these were people that came over legally, that needed this country, that came over here legally.
Yeah.
What a
this
concept.
This was a huge thing last night with this gentleman that we were discussing through Twitter, is, we need to be more compassionate. It has nothing to do with compassion. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with we are a country of laws. We cannot just keep letting people swim the Rio Grande or jump over fences or go dig tunnels underground to get into this country and then support them all. Do you get free everything? Do you get free everything? I don't get free everything.
Where did it become we're the repository of the world's asylum seekers?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
And again, a lot of the asylum seekers are like claiming,
Persecution.
economic conditions.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
that's never been a reason for asylum.
Exactly.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
But where did it flip the switch that we're supposed to be the repository for anybody who wants to improve their life?
Right.
I'm sorry. Do it in your own country.
Well,
Right.
I asked the guy last night, I said to him, I said, do you get free? Do you have to pay for your health insurance? Do you have to pay to send your kids to school? And he goes, of course. Of course. Because we're Americans. We live here, we work here, we pay taxes, we do what we're supposed to do, so we pay.
Yeah.
But these people that are coming in with no laws, no rules, no nothing, it should all be free?
Well,
What
again,
it-
I think it gets back to the media making this like a human care issue.
Well,
Right.
you saw the first thing that happened when
You know,
they had
it's
the
tugging
raid.
at the heartstrings.
They had the raid of 680 illegals. That raid was set up a long, long time ago, and they tried to blame it. They tried to dovetail it into, well, Trump went down to El Paso, and what do? You know, they arrest 680
Yeah, chicken pluckers. in
chicken
Mississippi.
pluckers, in
Hello.
Mississippi and Alabama.
Yeah.
Now,
And half of them have been released already.
yeah,
300 of them have been released because they didn't have any criminal things they could hang on them.
right, and
They didn't make the news.
And what does the news media do? The first thing, they show this little Hispanic girl crying because they're taking away her mommy. Where's the outrage? Where's the news media why aren't they showing kids whose father has been just convicted of a DUI and thrown into jail, convicted of murder? Some of these other
Or
crimes.
the family of some cop that got killed by
Exactly,
illegal immigrant.
exactly.
Or what about the kid that's been brought over here as a slave, a sex slave,
Yeah.
or anything else?
It
Human
doesn't
trafficking.
Fit the
Human
narrative.
trafficking.
They want
Right.
to keep,
Exactly. It's just
giving
so
a one-sided
disingenuous.
picture. Yeah.
It's just awful. Anyway, well, we're having some fun here this morning.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we've
Having some fun now.
We're having some fun now. We've covered a lot of ground, but
We have.
we've got to kind of put a wrap on this whole episode. It's been fun. Thanks for joining. I'll say to my wife Cindy, I'll say, we might need somebody on the panel. No. I said this time she was mad this week. She was mad. She fits that. I'm not going to say.
Don't say it.
I won't say it.
Again.
Yeah,
Yeah, I might say it off camera, but I won't say.
you're right.
I will not accuse my wife of being a mad white woman,
Angry one.
an angry white woman.
white woman.
However, how about some winners and losers to wrap up this segment?
Ladies first.
Okay.
How many
I have three losers,
Oh,
but it's
geez.
quick because you'll all know them and you'll know why they're losers.
We got losers coming up
My
here,
first
folks.
loser is Beto O'Rourke, who I think has been absolutely horrendous in the way he has handled his rhetoric.
Democratic candidate for president.
About El Paso. He's lied. But all three of them have. So the next one will be Bill de Blasio, who sat on Hannity and lied and never answered the questions and truly acted like a blowhard. And my third loser is Joe Biden, who lied.
Sleepy Joe.
Lied about Trump and his association with racism or anything else that had to do with it, and he knows better. But he's being pushed so far left at this point that he doesn't know which direction he's
He
headed.
doesn't have to go left. He can dig in his heels and stay in a position. I mean,
Right, but he's stating lies,
Well,
and that's
of course,
the bad
but I mean,
part. about it.
he's just he's wanting to go
He's
left.
better than that.
Yeah.
He really is a better person than that, I think. But he lied.
I think we should change the name to
Those-
Slow-Mo Joe.
Those are my three losers. All, as you note, are Democratic presidential candidates. I could go through the whole list,
What a
but that's
coincidence.
okay. My winner,
All
again,
right, we got a winner here,
Guys,
folks.
winner,
week-
Jerry.
is Donald Trump, who wakes up every morning, faces the backlash, the hate from leftists, liberals, Democrats. He goes to work and he works for America every single morning. And he this week, in spite of Beto O'Rourke and the mayor of Dayton and the other people who were so very nasty, who never blamed Obama for the over 300 mass shooting deaths during his term, didn't even bring him up. But now we've got a guy who is causing this, but yet he wakes up every morning and he goes out and he works for the American people. You don't hear him talk about, it's only I, me. He talks about we, the American people, and he's working for it every day in spite of hate.
I thought you were going to say he wakes up every morning looking at Melania.
Well, he does that too. He's a lucky guy.
That ain't bad. Bruce?
Okay, I got my air balls and home runs.
Air balls and home runs.
Air ball. You talk about the government being in your life. The city of Dunedin, Florida, has a compliance office that basically keeps an eye on how people take care of their homes. And this poor guy left the state because a parent was in hospice, and he made an arrangement with a landscaper to cut his grass. The landscaper died. Nobody notified him. His grass got like 12 inches high. The city compliance officer came by and said, okay, we're fining you 57 days at $500 a day.
Oh my goodness!
He says,
$26,000 a year.
Yeah, for $29,000
$29,000
with interest. And they're gonna. He says, I don't have that kind of money. They're gonna foreclose on his home because of this. So he's got one of the legal rights group in there to help him. So there's maybe light at the end of the tunnel. And my home run is didn't make the news hardly anywhere.
Of course not.
In local St. Louis news, 37,000 young people took over the city of St. Louis 2 weeks ago for the North American Youth Congress. This is sort of a faith-based group of kids that come from all over the country. And it's a 3-day event with classes and things like that. So they went through all their classes and services and everything, and then they went out and they filled 2,000 5-gallon buckets with supplies and toiletries for disaster relief, and went out and distributed that to the agencies that would have it for a disaster. And then on the last day, the organizers said, okay, we need to get money for missionaries and things like that. These kids, 37,000, donated $1,093,000
Wow.
to support these missionaries and things like that.
Yeah,
so that's really nice news, good news.
Do you think you hear that on the mainstream media? No, you don't hear anything about that.
Excuse me for interrupting you, but to just add on to that, another shout out to the young Republican conservative group who on their own has gone into Baltimore, into the area that has been in such a disarray and that everybody's been talking about.
At some risk to themselves.
At some risk to themselves to clean it up.
Elijah Cummings District.
They are not getting paid, they are not getting any recognition, but they're going in to clean up Baltimore.
My winner of the week is obviously going to be Trump, and I want to expand on what Cindy said. Rush made a phenomenal point yesterday on the show. From the day that he came down and declared himself a candidate, President Trump, his family, his administration has been ridiculed. They've been maligned. They've been subject of targets from the deep state. And what does he do? Like you said, he goes about his business every day doing exactly what he promised as a candidate. And as President of the United States, we need to support him. We need to commend him. And as I said earlier on, don't assume that Trump's approval rating can't climb, because it already has. The groundswell of support that is a result of the effort to malign him is growing exponentially, and I think it's going to be an absolute landslide victory, regardless of who the Democrats put up in 2020. So, thank you, Bruce. Appreciate you coming. Thank you to my wife Cindy for sitting in this morning, and we'll continue this conversation after the cameras stop rolling. But we want to make room for Jesse Barton this morning, our representative from Cameron Hall. The pet of the week just came in with Rena, and she's gonna follow Jesse. Jesse's got a guest with us today, so we're gonna see what's going on at the confines of Cameron Hall once we come back from message. Josh, take us to break, please.